Whoa, 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 whoa. Well, maybe we got an opening here. I think when we talk about being together all year and all the things we do, this is the toughest day of the year for us. You start your season and you're letting guys go that you've brought into the building that you care about as people. Obviously, you've selected them as players. So I want to start by thanking all the players that we had as we opened camp, the effort and energy they brought to us. And obviously, we hope to get as many of them back as possible. Now, we always keeping the door open, as you guys have seen, bringing guys back. Who we've brought in here. Great group, great people, and obviously tough day. And as we go through it here and to go have conversations with each and every one of them, Coach and I sit down with each and every one of them and have conversations. And although it's hard, just really appreciate the opportunity to do that with all those guys.
Coach, Coach, really the same thing, how hard it is on you and your staff with these guys every day. And just talk about how hard it is.
Yeah. First of all, it's you build relationships. That's the whole thing we're in this it's why we're here in the first place, right? To help guys achieve their dreams, achieve their goals. I think that's the reason I got into coaching. And so you build those relationships with guys, and then you have to let how many?
I was 37.
Yeah, then you have to let 37 of them walk, which is always hard. And I try not to.
38.
38. Yeah.
So I'm second guessing me.
Yeah. So, it's always, you build the relationships, you work on that from day one of OTAs all the way until we are right now. But I don't for a second, we have to do, Howie and I have to do that 38 times, which is hard. But I don't ever let myself think, man, it's going to be a lot more hard on that guy than it is for me. So I don't want to play the victim here at all on that, because I know, they're the ones going through that, and it's going to be a lot harder on them. But it's not an easy thing, and for all those reasons that I said. And everyone has a role on this football team. Everyone has contributed to this football team to date, and some guys you continue on with, and some guys you don't. And that's just the nature of this, unfortunately. But appreciate all their contributions to helping us get to where we are right now and be ready for the season.
Why did you trade for Sam Howell?
We remarked this is probably the only press conference we also do all year that is actually a 50-50 split. We traded for Sam Howell. We know the player really well, spent a lot of time on him coming out. Ironically, I think the only college Thursday night game I've gone to in the last 10 years was Pitt, North Carolina, and we ended up getting both those quarterbacks, which is ironic, like I said. So we had done a lot of work with him on him coming out, saw him firsthand as a starter with Washington. Obviously, he had tremendous success in those games, had a lot of appreciation for him as a player and his talent level and the person that he was, spending time with him. So a guy who's always on our radar, and just felt like for our team right now, the hardest part for us is trying to balance the development of players, the development of young players who we like, and doing whatever we can to go out and defend our title and to put the best team forward here for Dallas and going forward. So I think everything we're doing with those parallel paths and trying to figure out where we can get away with developing some guys that we think can help us in the future, and where we can help the team in the short term and make sure that we are covered. And so in this instance, just felt like Sam had a lot of value for our team right now. That doesn't say we don't like our young quarterbacks who are here, that we don't have great hope and promise for those guys, and we'll just see what happens in the next 24 hours, where we go about getting some of these guys back. But just felt like it was the right thing to do here for the short term to make this trade and bring Sam in.
How about the trade for Fred, and why not just sign him when he was here in the offseason?
Bless you. Yeah, I think that's I think from our perspective to just go, why not sign him? There's also in his mind, he understands that we have 2 all-pro level offensive tackles. He's in a stage in his career where he played really well and he was looking for an opportunity. So, just because we didn't sign him doesn't mean we weren't trying to sign him. And I think for him, he was looking to see what he could do somewhere else because of the situation that we had. And when the opportunity arose to bring him back, we jumped at it. Just someone that we feel really good about having here. That offensive tackle position, just like the quarterback position, you can never have too many of those guys that can come in and play for you over the course of a season. We're trying to play, a lot of games here. And so over the course of those games, you're going to need guys to step up in backup roles, and Fred's shown he can do it at a championship level, and so just was really excited to bring him back.
Howie, specifically with McCord, and both of you specifically with Kyle McCord, did you see qualities that, make you look forward to trying to develop him if you can get him back?
Yeah, I think he had, did some good things and promising things through camp. Obviously, we liked him enough to draft him onto this football team. And, I always battle that myself of like, how much opportunity can you give, your threes. And so, yeah, he shows good promise of where to go with the football consistently. And again, we're looking at everything, right? Practices, meetings, games, all the things. He has the ability to be accurate, and he does a lot of good things. And so my job as the coach is to try to provide them opportunities to be able to continue to develop, and always thinking about how we can do that with our young players. We got a great front office as far as in our development of players. We have great coaches to help develop players. And just that's what I'm always thinking about with those. Like, how do we get them more opportunity? How do we do different things with them? And that's not just Kyle. That's all our threes or practice squad guys of that sort.
You ended training camp with a no clear starter at cornerback opposite Quinyon Mitchell. You added Jacorian. What lessons did you learn from just what you were evaluating in-house at the start of the year in Keeley, and how that dictates how you go about the offseason?
I don't understand the question. What lessons did we learn about Keeley?
I mean, what did you see in Keeley? Where was the drop off from what you expected was going to come out, and how you handled?
Yeah, I don't know. In terms of a clear-cut starter, I think that we got a bunch of good players at the corner position, and so I don't think that's necessarily a weakness on this football team. I think that we start by having an outside corner in Quinyon, who we think is ready to take another jump, and unbelievable player. We have another corner in Cooper DeJean, who we think, again, one of the best young corners in the league. And so feel very fortunate to start that position there, and I think that sometimes we look at weaknesses in terms of strengths. I've been here a long time. To have two young corners like that, that's a position of strength. And then we have a lot of guys at that position who are young, who have a lot of talent in their body. I'm excited about the corners that we have on this football team. So, I kind of look at it a different way. When you look at those guys, they have different skill sets. They have different strengths. You talk about Keeley. I mean, Keeley is big. He's fast. He's strong. Keeley has shown that he's one of the best special teams players in this league, which I think is a huge thing for our football team. So I probably take it a little bit differently about that position. I think that that's a position that we have strength in numbers there, and I'm looking forward to seeing those guys play against Dallas.
With Darius Cooper, what's the backstory on how you guys were able to identify him, and what do you see as his potential?
Go ahead.
You want to go?
As far as his potential, I think one thing I think about him is he has this ability. Not everybody has an ability to win one-on-one. And I think he's shown that through camp, that he has tools in his body to be able to win one. He's big, he's strong, he's quick. My take on receivers always, is the best guys have good body quickness and good play strength, and he has those things. Now, and the other thing I think he's tough, right? Because we know, we're gonna try to get the ball to AJ, we're gonna try to get the ball to Devontae, we're gonna try to get the ball to Dallas, we're gonna try to get the ball to Saquon in the passing game. And so some guys have to come up a different way, right? They have to come up with, doing some of the dirty work. And I think that, this guy is a really strong football player who can do some of the dirty work stuff for us, as far as our blocking, as far as special teams, as far as, he's got good speed to be able to clear things out. And really, when you have a guy like that, there's opportunities for him as well in the pass game that mesh off of some of those things. And so I'm looking forward to watching him continue to develop. Aaron has done a really good job with him. Kevin's done a really good job with him of helping him develop. You know, and I think he's got some tools in his body to continue to develop. And so really excited, just really always appreciative of Howie and his staff of bringing in these guys. Like we've had a lot of free agents make this football team in the past, 4 years since I've been here. Reed Blankenship comes to mind, Ben Van Sumeren. There's a lot of guys. I mean, I could go Brenton Covey, Eli Ricks. I mean, so they've done just such a good job, obviously, Howie and his staff in the draft. But what I think gets overlooked sometimes is, the work that happens after the draft. And then also to the coaches that are helping these guys develop, right? You bring in the right guys that have tools, and you bring in the right guys that love this game of football, that are tough. Those guys have a tendency to reach their ceiling. And I pride ourselves in that I'm not hiring any coaches that can't help these guys develop fundamentally. And we got a lot of good coaches on the staff too. So it's just a good combination to have. And I think Darius has benefited from that, and he'll continue to get better.
Just one more on quarterback. Did Tanner's injury and the short-term potential need, did that affect your thinking at that position?
We would have made the trade for Sam Howell regardless of any situation with our first two quarterbacks. We just thought it was an opportunity to improve in the short term quarterback position, which, is obviously a hugely important position. And just for us, having those three guys again as we start the season, the opportunity to have those guys with the experience that they have in that room, we felt like it was in the best interest of the team for this season.
Going back to Darius Cooper, what was your first time seeing him, and how do you guys find him?
Yeah, a lot of credit to our scouting staff. When we talk about the draft and the draft picks and the front board, there's a lot of voices here, myself, coach, are a big part of the front board, and our senior staff when we talk about it, our assistant GMs, our vice president, player personnel. So really we give our scouts, our area scouts, a chance to put their names on free agents and go get those guys. And our area guys did a great job. Cam did an unbelievable job. I think Phil was a big part of that too. And you just watch him, and you see obviously, he's not playing the SEC, but you see that he's got talent. And when he came in here, just seeing how big and strong he is. I mean, we sat with him today, and he's sitting there in shorts and a t-shirt, and you're looking at him, and you're going, this guy has so much developmental qualities for us, and what a great kid. So obviously it starts now. We tell all these guys, there's no scholarships in the NFL. They got to keep earning it. But he's done everything up to this point to earn the opportunity.
Howie, now that you have your final.
What do you like about the defensive line as far as like the depth at edge rush and also defensive tackle? I mean, two guys you kept were Gabe Hall and Byron Young. What did you like about those guys?
Well, two very different guys, Gabe Hall and Byron Young, and Gabe Hall's another credit to our developmental program. This is a guy that we followed, who, if he probably would have came out after his junior year, would have been a second-day pick. We got him as a free agent last year, and our guys went to work on him because he's got tools in his body. This is a big, long, athletic defensive tackle, and really spent last year on the practice squad developing those qualities. And think about some of the trades we made here. Two of the trades we made with Thomas Booker and DK were guys that we developed, here with our developmental program. And, that's the success of those. Obviously, we'll miss those guys, wish them on. But this is another example of that in Gabe Hall. And then Byron was an SEC player at Alabama who we knew really well coming out of the draft, third-round pick of the Raiders. We claimed him last year. He's heavy-handed. Really strong ability to really block destruct, and I think for that's always a skill set that we're looking for in defensive linemen. You talk about the rest of that group, and we drafted Ty Robinson in the 4th round, and again, rookies, they keep developing. You're not looking for those guys, you're not expecting those guys to be fully developed when you get them. That's what we get them here for, and get in the NFL and develop them and see what their strengths and weaknesses are, and see what they can do in their first year. You know, some guys in their first year were fortunate, they played at a really high level. Other guys, it takes a minute for them to develop. And then our top three guys, you know, we're very, very, very excited about our top three guys in that room. JC, Jordan, Morrow, those guys all look primed to have a great year. Incredible confidence in those guys at the defensive tackle position. And then you go out on the edge and you talk about Nolan and Jalix, you know, starting there. Those guys just really tremendous competitors. Tools in their body. We saw what they can do in the playoff run last year. Really believe in those guys. And we brought in Josh, we brought in Aziz, and we brought in O. And obviously we got Pat as well here. And just, again, I think some of these positions we look at like we got solid players across the board. We have tremendous confidence in those guys. And there's different ways to do it. You know, sometimes you do it with stars and you go down from that. But we feel like there's really good players in that D-line room across the board.
If I could follow up on, when you specifically, obviously, we talk about a lot of guys that just make the roster or don't to stay, but you mentioned Carter. How does his presence and the future that you have with him conceivably affect how you've constructed the rest of that defensive line? He's out there for almost every play.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen's shown how dominating he can be as a player, and when you have that guy, and when offensive linemen are sliding to that guy, it creates opportunities for the guys playing next to him. You got to account for him. If you're going to block him one-on-one, he's got a great chance to win those matchups. I mean, he's that kind of player, and he's a special player. And where Jordan is and Jomo, I mean, you guys are out of camp every day. You see those guys; they're in the best shape of their life. I mean, they look primed for a big year, and they're physically dominant as well. And so, when you start with those guys, and then what they do for you out on the edge, because you got to pay attention to those inside guys, because quickest way to the quarterback is a straight line, you know. And so, I think for us. You've seen it. You've been here a long time, Jeff. You've seen that over the last decade, and probably even a little bit more. The resources we put into our interior defensive line, you know, it is a huge part of our team building, and feel like that is a chance to be a real strength for this team.
Howie, in the past, that effort's been having keys to Nick. How do you feel about the roster you're handing to him, especially given what the plan was back in I guess March?
Yeah, I would say this. I would say we're not done here. We're not done. You know, we'll see what happens in the next 24 hours. You know, I think I said this the last time we spoke. We got a lot of picks here, and we're happy to use those picks in the draft. But I think for us, the early part of the season, September, we got to see what we have, you know. And if we need something, I'll do whatever I can to help this football team and be aggressive. And Jeffrey gives me that opportunity to do that. And so, you know, I don't think that we're done. I don't think this is necessarily, you know, this is a work in progress.
Not giving me the keys quite yet.
Yeah, not yet, not yet. No, he's going to drive. He's going to drive, but we're going to continue sitting together. But you know, I think that's where we got to be. And I would say this, you know, obviously last year was a great year, and throughout the year we're trying to improve the team, you know. And I think that even after the trade deadline, you're sitting there and you're going, hey, is there anything else we can do? You know, is there things that we can continue to do? So I don't sit here, no matter what the year is, no matter what the time of the year is, and feel content with what we're doing, and just we'll continue to look for opportunities. And I promise when I leave here, I will go back upstairs, and we will be looking for opportunities tonight, tomorrow, and we'll continue to look through them, you know, every day here until we stop playing, and then we'll take a couple-day break, and then we'll keep looking for guys.
Howie, what made you want to go get John Meti? What did you like about him coming out of Alabama, and how do you see his fit?
Yeah, I liked a lot of things about his tape at Alabama. You know, Coach and I, when we were watching him, went back and watched his Alabama tape too. He's a natural separator. He can play inside and out. He's really good at the top of the route. He's a really good route runner. He's got really good hands. Tremendous character. And I think that, you know, again, when I think about that receiver room, just really excited about that receiver room. And, you know, we'll see what we even get here in the next 24 hours as we go forward to kind of complete it. Because, again, we think of the roster 1 through 70, and we're not done completing that. So getting him, and again, you guys are out every day. You see Dotson, and you see how comfortable he looks, and how excited we are about him in the second year, and having him over the off season. He's a really good player, and so overall, just excited about that room.
As far as you mentioned, Okaranko and Patrick Johnson.
Great pronunciation.
That was
Right.
great.
A plus.
Practice. But yeah, you mentioned those two guys. What did you like about O? His traits, and was there anything really maybe that separated him from Patrick and maybe some others vying for that spot?
Con cough, so you can answer the question. Yeah, we're big fans of Pat Johnson, and again, with 1 through 70, we got to work through our roster here, and he has a tremendous camp. He can rush the passer, he could set the edge, he plays on special teams. He's an Eagles draft pick, so really like Pat. Obviously, he's out there. We got to see what happens here in the next 24 hours, but he's a guy we love having on this football team. And then, he's got get off. He's explosive. You see that. He can rush. He can win one-on-one matchups on the edge. We saw him really, we had followed him through college, and then, as he started his career, LA and Houston. And then, I remember Coach and I, when we practiced against Cleveland a couple of years ago, just going, man, that guy's hard to block. And I think that as he gets more familiar with our defense and is able to play fast, he's got the tools to certainly help us in a rotation.
Are you comfortable, returner, are you comfortable with Jahan or Cooper, DeJean doing that? Or do you think that'll come more likely from the practice squad, the taxi squad?
Yeah, we don't have to make any public announcements. I don't think that, giving any of that information right now to the Cowboys would be in our best benefit. So, but, Coop obviously did it at a high level last year. And, Jahan's done it at a high level, in college, and they've both been working hard to, be experts at their craft on that. Feel really good about that. And, we'll see who we roll out there week 1. But feel good about the roster, and then not only, the guys on the roster, and I'm sure, as we get our practice squad stuff back, we'll feel good about guys there as well. And, like Howie said, we're thinking about a 70-man roster, not a 53-man roster. And so I know we have good options, guys that I'm confident in, guys not, catching the football, because that always starts with that, catching the football. I can't tell you how many times I watch tape and, people lose field position because they don't just catch it, right? And so I feel really good about that, but I also feel good about them having the ability to make plays with the ball in their hand as well, and the security of the ball when the ball's in their hands. Those guys work hard at that as well. So, I know we have good options. We have a plan. Just right now, not going to share that with anybody.
Can't wait for that Dallas game. Again, me excited.
How in terms of waiving,
I'll get you too.
in terms of waiving Kenyon Green, he was part of one of the more talked about trades from the offseason with moving on from CJ. With how that ended up playing out, waiving him, how do you look back on that trade?
Yeah, again, I don't look at things in a vacuum. I look at the big picture of how we're trying to build this football team and what the resources that we have to build this football team. That's money, that's draft picks. I look at it, how we're going to build this team for 2024, 2025, 2026. So, I don't really look at it just in the value of just one specific move. We had to do a bunch of things here that we thought were in the best interest of our team. To compete this year, but also to compete going forward. And, I think that's a big reason that we made that move there. And in terms of Kenyon, obviously he missed a bunch of time here, which hurt him. I think that when you come here and you play offensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles, understanding that how we want our offensive linemen to play, the fundamentals that Stout is teaching our offensive linemen to make them compete at a high level, it takes time. And he ran out of time here. That doesn't mean that he isn't a guy that we'd want to work with if the opportunity presented itself. But again, we didn't want to lose Chauncey. You know, that was just some of the nature of the business. And sometimes when you do that, you know, you got to obviously find partners and do the best you can in those situations. So not everything here is going to work out perfectly. You know, I'm the first one to admit, you know, we'll make some mistakes, but I promise you, we're going to keep shooting, and we're going to do our best to put together the best team that we possibly can for our team, for our fans, for our ownership.
Some of the developmental offensive linemen you did keep, I guess, what went into the decision for guys like Cameron Williams and Trevor Keegan?
Yeah, I think that when you look at what we're trying to do here, you know, we look at it and say, hey, if we let this guy go, are we going to have to go into the draft next year and draft someone in the third round, in the fourth round, in the fifth round to replace them? And you know, sometimes that doesn't work out perfectly. You know, when you look at the quarterback position, we weren't able to do that here. But when we look at those offensive linemen, you know, they're really hard to find. And obviously, when we just talked about Kenyon and these guys who have an opportunity to get their experience and be with Stout, and then you look at their developmental qualities and where they could be. And, you know, I think that you talk about a guy like Cam, and you got to look at it a little bit like if this guy went back into school, where would he be a year from now? You know, where can we get this guy 2 years from now? You know, what would that look like? And so when you kind of look at the roster like Coach allows us to do, where we're saying, all right, well, it's 1 through 70, and we got to really make sure 1 through 48 are ready for the games, but we have a couple of spots where we can make sure we're developing guys and we're not losing them to claim. You know, it's really part of the strategy that we're trying to do here, and not try to hurt the team in the short term, but also understand if these guys can help us down the road and save us a really high draft pick, man, that's incredible value. So obviously, he's got a long way to go to do that. Like we just talked about Coop and any of these rookies, they got to earn it every day. But he did a great job of showing us the ability that he can have.
All right.
Thank you.
Folks.
Thank you.